Hey everybody, this is Chewy Plays Nintendo, and today there are 9 days until Switchmas, so this is a big day. We are finally in single digits of days, which is pretty crazy, considering I think when the Nintendo presentation happened, we were 50 days away, so it's crazy to know that we've already gone through 40 of those days. We're through the majority of it. Anyways, so if you guys haven't noticed, the last video I did was 14 days till Switchmas, and I unfortunately missed a lot of days over this past weekend because I got sick. I'm still feeling it a little bit, but I'm good enough so that I can speak today. Yesterday I was almost there, but my throat hurt too bad. But yeah, so in that time, I guess there was a lot of news that came out that I missed out on talking about. So I'm going to do a general news roundup of the recent Switch things. So I think the last video I made went into talking about the recent, I guess, Nintendo Switch unboxing, and essentially some random person put a video out that showed some of the setup of the Switch once you turn it on and a bit of the operating system. But since then, it has come out that that Switch console was a stolen console, and essentially some people at the distribution center stole some consoles, and one was, and maybe more, were illegally stolen, or illegally resold. So yeah, those people I think have since been fired from their positions, but the person who got a hold of that Switch returned it to Nintendo, so Nintendo, I'm sure they're trying to get all of their Switch systems back. But yeah, that was a stolen console, and they actually had a statement that they left to IGN. It said, "Earlier this week, individuals claimed to prematurely purchase a small number of Nintendo Switch systems from an unspecified retailer. Nintendo has determined these units were stolen in an isolated incident by employees of a U.S. distributor, with one system being illegally resold. The individuals involved have been identified, terminated from their place of employment, and are under investigation by local law enforcement authorities on criminal charges. Nintendo Switch will launch worldwide on March 3rd, 2017, and we look forward to everyone being able to discover the wonders of the new system for themselves at that time." So, I guess that last little bit is the part that interests me most, and I think Nintendo is essentially saying they're not going to show us anything more. This is it. They're literally just leaving it up to everybody to discover on March 3rd what the operating system is like, what is on the eShop, what if there's even a virtual console. I don't think we're gonna get anything. And on one hand, I'm like, what decision is that? That's kind of odd that you're not telling people about it. But on the other, now that we're so close, and I know essentially a week from tomorrow, I'm going to be preparing to wait for the Switch at the midnight release, it's so close, I can't believe it. But yeah, essentially, it's we're going to get our Switches, run the update that needs to happen for the eShop, and then that's our first glimpse into what that actually looks like, which I don't know what games are going to be on there. I'm assuming Snipper Clips is going to be launching March 3rd on the eShop, but yeah, they haven't posted any release date for the game or anything, so yeah, this is crazy. Especially I don't know, I think a lot of people saw this unveiling of the operating system as kind of stealing Nintendo's thunder, but I don't think they had any intention of showing us, and so yeah, I feel like this person who leaked footage of it was the only look we're going to get until we actually have it in our hands, which is pretty insane. I was not expecting that. I thought Nintendo would go over at least some of the details. Anyways, outside of that, press outlets are also getting the Switch. One of them has broken the embargo and shown us, essentially taken apart the Switch, and people are starting to look into what technology is in there. I'm not much of a tech guy. If you guys need to find the video, of that. I'll link one from Spawnwave Media that this guy does a great job just looking at all of that stuff, much better than I would do. So I'll leave the link in the description for you. But outside of that, the press has their Switch consoles. I watched a Game Explain unboxing of the box. Essentially, they opened the package and they got a lot of things. They got the Switch, they got Zelda, and tons of amiibo for it. So yeah, that's out. But right now, they currently can't show anything from the Switch until the 23rd, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow, we will be able to see a lot more of what the press is allowed to show us as far as the Switch goes. So I'm imagining we'll get tons of news tomorrow, which will be fun to wake up to. And then, sorry, like I said, sick. I couldn't hold that cough in any longer. Another cool thing that came out recently, the Japanese Nintendo website updated a lot of the games with file sizes. So I'll put that picture right here for you guys. But as you can see, Zelda, we knew it was going to be 13 gigs already. So yeah, 13.4 is the size on that. Super Bomberman is 4 gigs. Puyo Puyo Tetris is 1.09. That's a big difference than 1.9. And then Dragon Quest is a huge game, 32 gigabytes. I Am Setsuna, 1.4 gigabytes. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is 7 gigabytes. Snipper Clips is 1.6. I cannot wait to get that game. And then, I don't know what this title at the bottom here is, but that's 5 gigabytes. I couldn't tell you what it is, but there's the image for you guys to take a look. So far, I know I'm going digital with the system, but I am getting the special edition of Zelda. So Zelda will probably be my one physical copy of a Switch game that I get, but I do plan on getting everything else digitally. Of these games, I am planning on getting Super Bomberman, Snipper Clips, Mario Kart Deluxe, and eventually I Am Setsuna, because I was very interested in that game before, and I'm excited that it's making it to the Switch. But I've done the math, that adds up to 14 gigabytes, so the 25.9 that it is revealed that we have access to on the Switch console will be plenty to fit those games. I know the next game outside of those that I'm going to get is for sure Splatoon, and I remember the Wii U size was a little over 1 gigabyte, like 1.5 or something like that, but it was a surprisingly small game. Of course, it added up a lot with the extra content that came out throughout the year, but I'm looking at about 10 gigabytes that I will have to work with, so I'm not too worried about about getting another SD card right away. Especially, I guess my plan is to kind of wait for some sales to buy a really big SD card and get a good deal on it. And then I would like to wait to see if we can I think the biggest size for micro SD cards right now is 256, and I'd like to get something bigger, at least a 514. Would that be the next size? 500 gigabytes would be nice to get around that time. So I'm holding out till I can get something of that size. But then also, I'm hoping by then I've accumulated enough gold coins from My Nintendo Rewards, and there's some nice games on discount in the My Nintendo Rewards program. So yeah, just kind of holding out for that. Outside of that, there have been news about dev kits. They're going to be around $450 to $500, which is, I guess, pretty cheap for a dev kit. I was looking at the new developer website that Nintendo has set up, and it seems like they're very open for indie developers. That's the impression that I'm getting, which is a nice change of pace, because beforehand they made it really difficult for people to become developers on Nintendo platforms, and so it's hard for a generally unknown game developer to make content for a Nintendo console. But now I think they're doing a lot to I guess, address that issue and give more people the freedom. Like, I was reading through the developer side, and it even said, like, you don't have to have game developing experience. They are willing to help you through. I don't know what that entails or what kind of help they'll give you, but it seems like they're trying to make this as open program as possible. But yeah, super cheap development kits. Hopefully from what I've heard, a lot of indie developers are having a really easy time getting their games onto the Switch, and this is great. Because there are some indie titles already. I'll probably do a video on this of some that I've found a lot of interest in. For me personally, like, I'm really interested in getting them. So yeah, I'd like to see as many of those games make it to the console as possible, because, like, how cool would it be just to play, like, all of these games on the go? And because, like, so many of these games feel like they're meant to be played on the go and handheld, or it just feels exciting for it to be that way. But all right, the next little thing, so last week there was also the Zelda DLC announcement, or I don't know if it was last week at this point. I feel like time's moving so fast. But Bill Trinan of the Nintendo of America, he's the product marketing manager there. He had some things to say, so I'll just read the quote right here. This is what he had to say in regards to the Zelda DLC. He said, "It was tough because we actually had a lot of debate in terms of, do we announce it? How do we announce it? I think one of the things that's unique about the way Nintendo develops games is when we're working on a game, and certainly just knowing the history of Nintendo games, you guys know that it's essentially we use every last minute to make the game as good as we possibly can. And really, what that means is that the dev team was working on the main game, finished the main game, and as they started to get to the very end and wrap it up, really they said, you know, we've made this massive world of Hyrule, we've spent a long time building it, it would be a waste to just make one game and have that be it. We want people to be able to enjoy exploring the world, and so they started thinking about, well, if we were going to do DLC, what do we do? How would we do it? And you could see that in the fact that it's not, the DLC is not, that it's not, I'm sorry, let me see. And you can see that in the fact that it's not. The DLC is not launching the day after the game or the week after. It's coming out several months later in the form of the first pack, and then several months after that in the form of the second pack. And that's because the content is in development. So essentially Bill's saying, like, this isn't DLC that's just like day one launch that, you know, a lot of people get mad when there's day one DLC that could have just been in the game, and so it seems like a cash grab kind of thing. But yeah, it seems like the people who worked on Zelda enjoyed working on it, and they're willing to make additional content, and eventually, I guess by the end of this year, once we've all essentially played through the Zelda story, we will have another new Zelda story to play in that giant map. And I'm sure everybody will play the game differently, seeing as it's taken up that open world kind of sandbox type of gameplay. So I think it'll just give people an additional story to play through, which me personally, I guess I'm excited for it, but you know, I'm just ready to check out the game. 9 days away. I'm so ready for it. And then last little thing I wanted to touch up on, today or yesterday, I've been hearing people say that Breath of the Wild for the Wii U has been leaked. So just in general, if you're avoiding leaks, I'm not putting links to any of the leaks at all. So if you're avoiding them, just be aware they are out on the internet. From what I've heard, I haven't checked anything to confirm. I'm also avoiding leaks. So yeah, just be careful out there. Anyways, this is Chewy Plays Nintendo. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye!